Hey there, are you like most 3rd-gen 4Runner owners and your clock is burned out, but you wish it wasn't? Well, today I'll show you how to fix it, or at least how I fixed mine. I'm going to go ahead and start by assuming that you know how to take off your radio bezel and get that entire assembly out. If you don't, click up here. I have a video where I've done that and you can follow that. So let's get started. Let's get this clock out and get it fixed. So here's the clock out from the bezel. You've got clips on this end and on this end that are going to be holding it into your bezel on both ends. So we need to find a way to get both of those clips pushed away far enough that we can get this pulled out of here. I like to use little wire nails like this. It allows me to push the clip off of the tab and I don't have to try to pry it and hold it there. I can just let go and it will stay lifted away. Some of these are far enough down in there that you might need a pair of needle nose to be able to get your nail down in there. After you get your nails in there, you're going to want to make sure, by checking this little tab down here, make sure that it's off the top of those clips. You can grab from the connector and push from underneath at the same time, and you're going to try to rock it out. This is going to take a little bit of patience. These clips are pretty stubborn. Already half of my nails have fallen out. I'm just going to have to keep trying until I get it. And there you have it. It just popped right out. So I've actually managed to fix two clocks. The first one, all I had to do was clean some of the contacts, and that made it work again. So we'll show you that real quick. All right, once we get the clock out, we're gonna again use our nails just to lift the tabs off of the little catch. All right, now that all four are being kept away, we can gently pull this apart. And then you gotta put your buttons back in their holes. They should each have a little green, whatever that is, inside the end of the button. And then here is your clock. There's two very small screws, one here and one here. After removing both of those screws, you pull this off gently. These connectors here, which are your input connector from this side, have these little springs. They make connections to these terminals here. These pins right here, they come off really easy, and then they just slip back on those posts. So you're going to want to take some rubbing alcohol, isopropyl alcohol. You probably can even use a can like this. Or even maybe just a rag, and clean these connections really good. I got it actually to turn on without cleaning anything, just by squishing it a few times, kind of scrape some of the dust off. When I plugged it back in to test it, it was already working. And the second clock took a little bit more than that. So this method I'm about to show you, I've actually fixed lots of electronics with this. I fixed fuel pump relays for like an '89 Honda. I fixed a television this way. And basically all it involves, simple soldering iron and a little bit of solder. So while this soldering station looks pretty fancy, you can get one on Amazon pretty cheap, or you could even use something a lot less sophisticated than this. So in the world of microelectronics, you have little pins like this for data kind of things. You've got a little chip here with some really small pins. You're going to want to stay away from anything like that. You get too much heat in there, that whole chip's just going to melt. But then you have things like this capacitor, and down inside of here you have some other components. Those are a little bit more robust, and they're designed to handle power. So the way that I've fixed stuff like this in the past is any of those power leads, any of these types of leads here, or even both sides of these resistors, and down here on this capacitor, I like to just lightly put it in a vise, just enough to hold it. Then once your soldering iron is hot, you can bring it in and just touch the edge of that until it melts, and then let go of it. And just do that to each side. Now, if you leave it there too long, something might burn up. So just long enough to get that to melt. Then you can go through and do that to all these components, staying away from the stuff that looks like it could be a smaller wire, or even these resistors here. You might leave those alone since they're so small. When I fixed this one, what had happened is I melted this side, and this entire piece came off because this side had broken loose. I had to get this puddle melted and then just add a little dab. And that was enough to get it reattached, and that fixed it. All right, so if you get a little carried away, you might melt something, and then your clock will be unrepairable officially. Now, are you any worse off than you were before you tried? Probably not. So why not give it a shot, right? So if you think you got it, we'll go ahead and put it back together, and we'll plug it into the car and test it. And then if it works, then we'll put everything back together and call it a day. Then just reassembly. Again, these go on that side. Squish it together, reinstall your screws. So we'll test it like this before we put the lid back on. Here we have our connector, just plugging that back in. Let me find my car key, and there we have it, a working clock. Then to put your house back together, these pads here to line up with the buttons. Leave this upside down so that the buttons don't fall out. And then when you go to reinstall this into your bezel, make sure that you get your buttons on the bottom. You'd hate to accidentally put it in upside down, right? So we'll just make sure these are on the bottom, line it up with our little tabs, and then push it in gently, and we're done. All right, and there it is, all assembled, working good. All right, hopefully you guys were able to successfully fix yours as well. If you like this kind of content, give me a like and a subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.